Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, Ugreen sent me this power bank to test, and I've been playing around with it, and I'm really impressed with it. So power-wise, it can go up to 130 watts, which is a combination of 100 watts for one single item and then 30 watts for another item. It is flight approved, and this is the biggest size. I went to Copenhagen recently, and I noted that 20,000 milliamp hours was the biggest that you're allowed to take on a plane. I really like the display. I'll show more of it in a minute because it shows loads of things about the state of charging and so on. And one thing I really noticed is that whether it's powering something or it's being charged, it barely heats up. And some other power banks that I've had heat up quite a bit. So let's have a look at what else comes in the box. Some instructions and help guides, a protective case, and a short USB-C cable. So we can see on the top here we've got a couple of USB-Cs. One of them is the charge port, and both of them output power, and we've also got a USB-A socket as well. It's clearly written with the milliampage on the side, which is handy for airports. And I'm going to be plugging several things in, not just things to charge, but let's plug in a few things to charge and see how it looks. So first up, my iPad. Let's plug that in and plug it into any of the USB-Cs. I'm going to use the one that says 100 watt. That's the one that goes to the most power. And we can see from the display that at this power it can go for 3 hours 21 minutes. It's powering at 24 watts at the moment, and it's at 91%. My iPad is a iPad 11 Pro 4th gen, so the M2 processor. So I've just plugged in a Samsung phone now. Now this is a Galaxy S20, so an older device, and it's telling me it's charging at 12.7 watts, and it can go for 6 hours 38 minutes. This is an M1 MacBook Air from 2020. I'm not sure how fast this can charge. It comes with a pretty basic charger as standard. Okay, so it's gradually going up. You can see it's currently at 46.2 watts. And you can see that at that sort of charging rate, it's talking about an hour and a half. But it just doesn't get warm at all. So even when I've left it for quite some time, or I've been charging it, I think my quickest charger probably charged it about 28 watts, something like that. It never seems to get warm. And I like the way it's got rubber feet here, so you can stand it down like that if you're worried about it getting knocked over, but you can also stand it upright. So whilst it's charging my Mac, I'll plug in this USB-C cable, which is rated up to 240 watts, so we should be all right. And plug in the Samsung phone and my iPad as well. So that's 3 devices charging at the moment. And it tells you each output. So the iPad is charging at 7.4 watts. Could be a limitation on the cable. It's not a fancy cable I'm using for that. The Samsung phone is charging at 10 watts, and my laptop is charging at 48. You can see it's 81% at the moment. If you left it charging like that, it would charge for 54 minutes. Obviously, at some point they'll all be charged, so it would stop charging them when they get to fully charged. I do like that information. Now I'm going to charge it up, first of all with a Raspberry Pi charger, which is 27 watts. Now I've plugged it into the in and out socket, and it's telling me it's currently charging at 24.9 watts, and it's going up a bit now, 25.1. So if we press the button, we can see we've got 14.7, 14.8 volts at 1.7 amps. Let's have a look at some of the specs in more detail. So as I've already said, 20,000 milliamp hours at 130 watts, ultra portable. So both the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro would be at 55% charge in 30 minutes. Even the MacBook and the iPad like 43 and 47% in 30 minutes. There's a trickle charging mode for low power devices. I've got AirPods and an Apple Watch, so useful for that. I do love the display and the way it lays everything out. 13-layer safety protection. They are definitely making sure this is a nice safe device. So they talk about automotive grade lithium-ion batteries, and the temperature is monitored 200 times per second. So 480 grams, my scales make it 465, but also length 54 by 51 by 131 millimeters. And there's 3 models, 12,000 milliamp, which is obviously smaller and lighter, and there's a taller 25,000 milliamp hour. And this was the bit that most interested me because I wanted to play around with it with different things. It supports a huge array of voltage outputs, and the highest is 20 volts at 5 amp, so 100 watts. This 5 volt USB fan is using tiny amounts of power and so will run for many hours. I plugged a load of things in and everything's working. So I'm currently charging my iPad at the moment. I'm also powering this Intel Ultra 5 mini PC, which is also connected to a monitor, also being powered by the power bank. I've also, in the back of the mini PC, you see the white cable, that's an iPod Touch, second generation, which is currently charging as well. And if we have a look at the display, it's fluctuating a bit, but we've got 30 watts and 24 watts. So in this configuration, around about an hour. And of course, we're going to get amazing battery life on a Raspberry Pi. So it's talking about 50 hours. It's running at 5 watts at the moment, and with 5.1 volt, 0.8 amp, or 1 amp it's just gone up to. And this is playing a 1080 video. This is a deconstructed Windows tablet. So we have the battery here. You can see that it's powering the mini PC, which is on the back here. This is a Melee N100 mini PC. And then we've got USB-C going out from the mini PC into the monitor. I could do a better job of attaching it. It is attached, I've just got to be very careful. This is a Raspberry Pi 02W, so it's a very low power security camera. So in here is my Raspberry Pi, and there's also the camera. And this uses micro USB, so let's plug that in. And plug it into the USB-A outlet on here. If I go into my iPad, I've got a web page saved for Motion iOS. Now this is the infrared, so like a night mode camera, but you can see it's working. If I point it to my cats, you can see that it's picking up whatever they're trying to do at the moment. So it's reckoning about 61 hours. So I'm super impressed with this. It is a really nice power bank. Love the way that it displays everything. Thanks to Ugreen for sending it to me to test. Hope this helps. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.